So if you're looking to improve your organization's sales, performance, maybe you're a department head and you're charged with improving the safety or production rate because you're in manufacturing of your department, whatever it might be, one of the greatest opportunities is to go ahead and leverage those assets that you already have. And those assets are your team and your staff. Once upon a time, I was a young engineer at a manufacturing facility. We probably at that time were doing 100 million a year in annual sales, significant size operation, facilities in numerous locations throughout North America. So good size organization. Company had been established for a number of decades. We had employees on the shop floor in the factory that had worked there since high school and they were then middle-aged. We had second and third generations of employees working on our plant floor. We had an area of the facility that had equipment provided by the United States government, or funding was provided by, to support the war effort during World War II. So sizable organization with a rich, deep history. And this is a great example of those assets that are there. And those assets are your team and staff. And I remember one time I had a question, I needed something. I knew some of the longer term, like long time factory employees would be able to help me. And I went out and I talked to this gentleman. He ran two machines. Each of them were a broach for putting a slot into a shaft in our manufacturing plant. And I went out and asked him, and he had been so mistreated by the office employees. He'd been so looked down upon, especially by the engineering department. He looked at me and said, yeah, I've worked here for a few decades and I can definitely help you out, but I'm not going to. And he said, my job is to run that broach and that broach. That's what I do. And that's all I'm going to do. And all of you up in the office can figure it out for yourselves. And I was like, wow, what a missed opportunity. Here's an individual that has the experience on the plant floor to actually help me. And in doing so, help the engineering department, and in helping that department, helping the organization at large, not really have any interest to, simply because of how he was typically treated by office staff. So make sure you're treating your employees the correct way. Make sure that you see the individuals as contributors, no matter where they are in your organization, and respect them as such. And that will give you an opportunity to leverage that for the better of your department, the better of your organization, the better of your company. And for those small business owners out there, that's going to translate directly to the bottom line via increased revenue and reduced operating expenses. And I'll give you an example of that. My last brick and mortar business, I had a number of brief meetings on a weekly basis with different departments. And I was always open to feedback from my staff. Why? Well, because in many cases, they were involved in the day-to-day. They had the proverbial boots on the ground, right? They were dealing one-on-one with our customers, from a delivery of service, from a sales of goods and products, and then also responding to requests, questions, and comments. They were the first ones to hear if we were doing something correctly. They were the first ones to hear if there was something we were doing that we could do a better job on. What a great resource for continuous improvement. As a result, I encourage my staff to provide feedback in our meetings. And I had a new hire one time. He was a little, I guess, unsure about mentioning something. So one of my leaders, most organizations call them managers, said, hey, go ahead and volunteer what you suggested. So he had an idea to do things differently with part of how we provided and delivered service. And I said, well, go ahead. What's your idea? I said, great, let's do it. What do we need to make that happen? I provided the resources and gave my staff the leeway to go ahead and just quote unquote, get it done. And they went out and did it. And it was a better way. It produced a better experience for our customers, which directly impacted our bottom line in my organization because it improved our sales. And that employee was really surprised that I gave him the opportunity to share his idea. And then we went a step further and actually implemented and executed what he said. Again, it's a great example of leveraging the resources or assets that you already have in your organization. But remember, it's not just you, that your organization, your department, or whatever it might be, is made up of all of the individuals that work within that subset or within that organization. And those individuals need to be reminded that their work matters. They need to be respected. They need to be thanked. And also you need to include them and allow them to be part of the team. Otherwise, you're going to walk out to that factory floor like I did as an engineer, and you're going to have the individual running two broaches tell you, yes, I know exactly what you need. Yes, I can help you, but absolutely not. I will not help you. So make sure you take care of those people that work with you or work for you. Make sure you respect them, and then, invite them to have a seat at the table. Let them participate in the game of running and operating your business. It's an easy way to leverage those resources and assets you already have. The benefit drops right down to your bottom line in terms of profitability. And I won't even get into what that does for employee satisfaction and retention, which also is going to fall right down to that bottom line. Thanks for checking us out, smallbusinesstogrow.com to learn more. If you like our content, be sure to subscribe to our channel, leave us a comment below. Also, be sure to check us out on your favorite podcast provider. See the links in the description below.